Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. While we are taking a moment for everybody to join, feel free to drop in the chat where you all are calling in from, whether or not you're a solar owner. We'd love to hear from you. We have our entire help desk team here today, which is really exciting. So got a lot of good information and plenty of time for questions. So glad that you're spending an hour with us this afternoon. Again, feel free to drop in the chat where you're calling in from, whether you're a solar owner or a future solar owner or just generally interested in solar. And we'll get going in just a minute just to give people time to jump in from the waiting room and join from what I assume is a busy day. So awesome. Some New Yorkers. Nice. Some owners. Very cool. Gloucester. I'm actually down in Salem, Massachusetts, so very close by. I've got Minneapolis, California. Um, nice. Some current solar owners, future solar owners, solar and battery. Love it. All over the place. So hopefully you all are coming with a lot of questions because we've got a lot of knowledge on this call. So we will be able to hopefully answer all those questions. So welcome everyone. We'll get started and respect your time and make sure you get out of here on time as well. But keep dropping in where you're calling in from and what your solar status is if you're a solar owner or a future solar owner. Um, Welcome to Sun's Consumer Protection webinar. This is something that is core to our work here at Solar United Neighbors, but the first time we've really presented publicly in a national webinar on it. So I'm really excited to bring this team to you today and share this knowledge with you. My name is Annie Wolf. I am our VP of Community Impact here at Sun, and I will soon be handing it over to my wonderful colleagues, but wanted to get through a couple of things first. The first is that we are providing Spanish translation for this webinar. So if you would like to enter the interpretation room and hear this webinar in Spanish, all you need to do is click the globe there at the bottom of your screen and select Spanish in order to enter that room. I'll give it a second just in case anybody's joining. And then logistics. We welcome questions. We welcome all questions. We'd love for you to use the Q&A section in order to ask your questions. So that's located at the bottom of your screen, and that just helps us organize them a bit better and make sure that we can hand them off to the right person. Feel free to use the chat to talk to each other, anything like that. But definitely ask those questions that you want answered by our wonderful team in the Q&A. And then afterwards, you will get an email with the materials and recording. So that'll go out to you all tomorrow. So don't feel like you have to take notes or memorize anything. We'll be sending you a recording and slides tomorrow. And with that, I will hand it over to you, Johnny.
Thank you so much, Annie. Hello, everyone. My name is Johnny Hale. I am the help desk manager. I'm located in Durham, North Carolina, by way of New York City. So I see some New Yorkers in the crowd here today. We will cover an introduction to Sun and solar help desk, some consumer protection in solar, example of consumer solar questions, and share some resources and have some time at the end, like Annie said, for Q&A. Annie, we can no longer see your slides.
I know that went away. I'm sorry.
I'll just continue with my spiel. We call ourselves Sun for short, Solar United Neighbors, and we're just teams of really dedicated people that come with a wealth of resources and a depth of compassion for clean energy rights. We do this in a three-tier series, theory of change, where we help folks who want to go solar. I'm going to wait for Annie because I don't see the slide up
Hey, hold
yet.
on. It's
I'm sorry.
not working. That is not your fault. That is. What's going on with this? Hold on.
Sorry, crowd. I was just talking. Okay, there we go. We
There we
got it,
go.
Annie. Thank you. Okay, you can go to the next slide. Oh, yeah. So here we go. And as I was saying, we're just a bunch of really dedicated people that come with a wealth of resources and a depth of compassion for clean energy rights. And we do this in a three-tier theory of change where we help folks who want to go solar. We offer co-ops and programs in 13 states, including DC and Puerto Rico. And we support those who already have solar, and we advocate for policies to protect our energy efficiency. You can go to slide 6 now. Yeah. So I'll pass this on to our colleague, Guillermo.
Hi everyone, my name is Guillermo. My nickname is Memo. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm based out of San Antonio, Texas, and I'm a help desk associate here at Sun. So, what is the Solar Help Desk? So, the Solar Help Desk, we're a team here at Sun dedicated to helping anyone on their solar journey. We pride ourselves on providing unbiased, vendor neutral information about all things solar. We like to say that it's like having a solar savvy friend in your corner, ready to help whenever you need it. And next slide, please. So, is the solar help desk just about complaints? As you can see, it's definitely not. Whether you're thinking about going solar, actively going through the solar installation process, or have had solar for years, we're here to help you out. So, we get asked a lot of questions every day about solar, such as things like, should I get a battery with my solar panel system? Or why do I feel like my system is not saving me as much money as promised? How do I know my roof is good for solar? So we do answer these questions pretty regularly. So we have a wealth of knowledge to help out. And next slide, please. So the importance of our solar help desk. So the solar help desk supports the rest of Sun's programming and advocacy work. So by providing a free, vendor neutral, customer service focus, we help support market development with practical, action-oriented education and guidance. And next slide, please. So what do we offer here at the help desk? So as we said, whether you want solar, have solar, or going through the process of getting solar, we offer all the things you see here on screen to help you out, such as roof reviews. So through satellite imagery, we can go ahead and measure your roof to see if it's right for solar. Then we also have some materials such as our Go Solar Guide and the Owner's Manual. This is just comprehensive guides detailing more information about solar adoption, the benefits, costs, financing options. One of our popular offerings is our 15-minute consultations. So that gives consumers such as yourself a time to schedule calls with us regarding any questions that you may have. We'll call you at the time that you choose, and we'll go over any information questions that you have for us. We also offer proposal reviews. So we always recommend, while you're going through your solar process, try to, go out and get at least 2 to 3 different bids from installers, and we're here to help you out to give your proposals another set of eyes to give you some more detailed information on for you to make your right decision for you. Also offer non-legal contract reviews. So we don't have a lawyer on retainer, so we can't offer specific legal advice, but we could at least take a look at your contract or again your proposal just to make sure you're getting good deal with your solar. We also answer questions about maintenance. So we do get different questions about maintenance. So we're here to give you some answers to some common questions. And again, we also do warranty verification. That's very similar to our contract review, where we take a look at the paperwork for your solar to make sure you are getting a good warranty and that you understand the warranties that come with your solar system. Next slide, please. So how can you reach us? It's very simple. You can just go ahead and log on to our website, solarunitedneighbors.org. At the top right, you'll see the Get Help button as displayed on screen. Go ahead and click, and it's going to take you to our section of the help desk, where, as you can see, you can go ahead and download some of our guides, get that free roof review we were talking about, schedule the phone call with us, and ask any questions. You could also email us at helpdesk@solarunitedneighbors.org, and you can call us at 202-888 3601, and we are option number one when you call in that phone number. And I'll go ahead and pass it on to my colleague, Gina.
Okay. Hello, my name is Gina Watson. I use she, her pronouns. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and I am a help desk associate. So why is this important? Why is consumer protection important? Why are we doing this? So you can see here, this graph shows a pretty stark rise in complaints about solar panels between 2018 and 2023. So these particular complaints about solar panels were made to the Federal Trade Commission and compiled and made public for us in their annual report. So as you can see, there is a need to support consumers now, maybe more than ever. And next slide, please. So what are folks reaching out to us about? Like, what are we doing here? So here's a list of topics we commonly receive inquiries about at the Solar Help Desk. You can see here everything from reviewing installer proposals to fielding complaints about solar scams, bad contracts, or equipment issues, among many other things. We're happy to help with everything. So it is important to note, like, in almost any field, there are some bad apples in the industry that have used deceptive tactics to take advantage of customers and gain from solar. But we like to think most installers do not intend to be unscrupulous, yet may be perceived as such due to their mismanagement of resources and growing pains of this relatively new industry. And I'll pass it to Roger.
Hey everyone, thanks so much. I'm here to talk about our consumer protection policy work. My name is Roger Horowitz. I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I'm our director of Go Solar programs. So Solar United Neighbors, the folks you're talking to today from the help desk, are working with regular, everyday folks, helping answer your questions and helping come up with one-on-one solutions to the issues that you're having. But Solar United Neighbors also does a lot of work federally and in lots of different states. And we are actively working on consumer protection. Right now, we've been working for a couple of years with SEIA, the Solar Energy Industry Association, which is the trade group of lots and lots of solar companies. And we are a member, and we've been working with them to make sure that there are guides and business codes, solar ethics codes that to make sure that companies are, actually operating the way that they should. Also, we've been working with them on model leases and power purchase agreements, making sure that folks are getting the information they need and they're the standard disclosures that they need that are actually in there. Also, making sure that people aren't signing a lease where they're not going to be saving money, because we only want this to be happening if folks are actually saving money and having a good experience. We work a lot on the complaint process, and Gina was saying, we just want to make sure everyone has a good experience with solar. So all of these standards and guides, a lot of it is boring, a lot of it is pretty in the weeds, but we do want to make sure that people have a safe experience and that they are not getting taken advantage of by bad actors. One of the reasons that we are always working on these ethics guides is that they're voluntary, but it's also, if folks want to go solar, it's a great way to find a good local company. You can look at these guides. For example, we have them in Indiana and in Ohio. We worked on developing them there, and people can sign up for this ethics code. And if the installer agrees to that, that's a good place to start when you're starting your solar journey to find an installer. We're working a lot with state attorney general's offices, and that's something the help desk is always doing. And some are taking action against bad actors in the solar space. And a lot of states now have guides and resources in their attorney general's offices as well. I'm actually going to be speaking at a conference in Maryland of the Attorney General's Investigators of a State Attorney General's Offices conference. And we're going to be teaching them what lessons that we've learned about issues in the solar industry that we've learned from all our time with the help desk. Next slide. Here you can see that we've worked on a lot of different bills in different states. We have our solar ethics pledge that I talked about. We've worked on getting these disclosure forms so that people are actually seeing some of the hidden fees sometimes involved in different solar loans or leases that they may not know about. And also we've worked on consumer protection. I mean, we do lots of fun policy work at Sun. Some of our work over the years has been on doing things like getting HOAs to allow solar panels. But then also, these are 3 bills that we've worked on in Virginia, Ohio, and Florida in recent years, making sure that there are fair consumer protection standards for solar customers. Okay, that is it for me. And then I'm going to turn it back over to Gina to talk about not saving money. Thanks.
Thank you, Roger. Some great policy work going on there. So the next few slides, we'll give some examples on common inquiries and how we respond to them at the help desk. So here you can see the issue is that a consumer is not saving as much money as they thought they were going to by going solar, or maybe were promised by the installer. So first, we would always recommend the customer to contact the installer directly to confirm that the system is working correctly, and maybe that requires a system check or somebody coming out to check, see what's going on. We then ask customers to review their solar production app, which can show you usage and production there, and your utility bill, which we at the help desk are always more than happy to review with you, either via email or through one of those 15-minute phone calls. You can always send us those. We also research local incentives to ensure that a consumer is taking advantage of all the ways that you can save money and increase the value of a solar system. Next slide, please. Okay, another common question, maybe our favorite, about taxes. Another question we receive very often is about the federal solar tax credit that folks are entitled to when going solar in some cases. So this tax credit is called the Residential Clean Energy Credit. And you can see here, this person is reaching out to get guidance on how to secure that 30% tax credit. So we always advise customers to reach out to a tax advisor if possible, as every consumer situation is different and we are not tax professionals, and we can only give general guidance and advice about this situation. So we guide users to appropriate tax resources from the IRS and other resources, and we keep folks informed of changes in federal policies that may affect this credit, which we are going through a bit now, which I'm sure we can touch on in the Q&A. And lastly, we educate on the tax credit and its eligibility requirements. So there are some requirements to be eligible for that credit that maybe folks don't always understand when getting into installation. So one of those is you must own your solar system and have a tax liability to benefit from that credit. And I'll pass it to Memo.
Thanks so much, Gina. So here we have another example that we get quite often here at the help desk where installer might have gone out of business. So we see here this particular consumer emailed us saying, our solar company went out of business, solar panels not working, high electric bill, what recourse do we have? So what we do here, we go ahead and ask clarifying questions. So who was their installer? Maybe we could do some research to see if they're really out of business, or maybe they just changed their name, maybe they're going through another entity now. Or is their system working? Like Gina said, we'll go ahead and ask them to pull up their app production, check their energy bill, make sure they're getting those credits, that they're saving that money. And we confirm with the consumers that even though the installer might be out of business, warranties are still valid. So a lot of folks are always worried that if the installer goes out of business, what happens to the panels, the actual equipment, that's still covered by the manufacturer's warranty. And also we can provide guidance and resources on how folks can go ahead and find another installer in their area to go ahead and service their system if needed. And as a last resort, if folks may want to escalate some of their issues further, we can provide guidance on how to file complaints in various venues as well. And next slide, please. So hand in hand with that is, abandoned solar customers. So this has been an increasingly popular inquiry here at the help desk. We've received over 500 complaints just last year about folks being abandoned. So what can we do? So we advise consumers on how to submit grievances in their state's attorney general's office. We could share resources and encourage them to share their stories on forums like the Better Business Bureau or Solar Reviews to inform and warn others about some of these installers. We also provide a basic understanding of their system's energy production, utility bill savings, warranties, incentives. And lastly, we can provide a list of those maintenance providers that could give service to a system who are needing repair, and which we regularly are working to expand this list of installers. And this will be touched upon by my colleague, Sarah, in the next slide.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah, she, her pronouns. I am located in Chicago, Illinois, and I'm just going to be talking about one of the resources that we have here at Sun that touches a lot on what Gina and Memo were talking about, which is really just trying to create consumer protection resources that can make people feel more confident in their investments. So in 2024, we launched the Inspection and Remediation Program. This is a program that offers free third-party solar inspections to eligible homeowners. So an example of eligibility would be if an installer is out of business, just because we want to always make sure that we're protecting people's warranties. So doing inspections on an inspection or on a system where everything, like all their installers are still in business, could possibly impact that. So we are always trying to be consumer facing first and make sure that we're protecting on all fronts. So like we talked about earlier, we do have our 15-minute appointments, and we do take emails and tickets as well. And a lot of folks reach out to the help desk to utilize our O&M network and do other things like that, including what do I do if my installer is bankrupt and out of business? And so with our O&M network, we're able to connect folks to installers where they can then get an inspection report and they can figure out next steps. And this is all funded through Sun. This work is important because we do receive, unfortunately, a lot of complaints about installers going out of business, and this is leaving homeowners stranded with orphaned equipment. And homeowners are really benefiting from this because they are provided with those inspection reports, and we do sometimes we're able to do remediation efforts depending on what's going on. We are able to do like those on the truck services as a trusted and neutral nonprofit. So we really try to not even try, it's always a very valid effort to make sure that we're staying neutral and making sure that people can come to us as a trusted source. So we really want to make sure that we're able to reassure homeowners that they're making a sound investment, and knowing that there is a resource like this, it helps a lot with feeling more comfortable in your investment, and of course creating a safe solar market, which is one of the most important aspects of our consumer protection work. Next slide. So I thought I would share a success story. So Megan was part of our initial cohort when we were piloting this. So during the pilot, we were really trying to make sure, again, that it was as beneficial for consumers as possible, as easy, as stress-free, and a resource that people could really find trusted. So when we were piloting, we just had a handful of people, and Megan reached out in August of 2024. Her system wasn't working, and her installer had gone bankrupt and had gone out of business. Because there are some installers who do file like Chapter 11 bankruptcy, but are still doing work and are just trying to rearrange their assets. So they had gone bankrupt and out of business. She filled out a form. She was accepted in November, and as of May, I believe, her system is up and running. She got not only an inspection, but some remediation services. And on the right hand, you can see a screenshot of an email she sent us where she just felt really frustrated and alone through the process. And we were able to create a really safe space for her. Since then, we have helped around 25 solar families. We have about 70 operations and maintenance providers within our network, and we have about 40 candidates awaiting servicing. So I really wanted to just emphasize that this is a resource that we have. If you have an installer that is out of business and you're having problems, you're always free to reach out to the help desk with the resources that we talked about in the beginning and will be reiterated again at the end. And I'll pass it on to Johnny.
Wow, thank you so much for all of that information, Sarah. I hope our interpreters received all of that information. And again, these webinars are going to be recorded. And I just wanted to go over how many people we helped. Like Memo had said earlier, 500 consumers had come into our help desk complaining about their installer going out of business, but over 2,700 resolved inquiries in 2024, excuse me, and over 200 15-minute consultations. Those are one-on-one phone calls where a consumer gets to speak with a solar expert, and over 60% rate of resolved inquiries on the first reply. So that's pretty impressive for our small but mighty help desk team. Next slide. Yeah. So what we've learned now that we have additional staff that are equipped to answer inbound calls and chats within limited hours per day, we are able to extend our hours of availability and answer more inquiries. And customers don't typically inform us of their issue has been resolved without a prompt. So we're developing a follow-up correspondence to check in on the status of their progress in their request. And consumers targeted by bad actors have limited resources, such as the aging population, to fight bad contracts. So we are regularly seeking to identify and connect solar owners with more legal and accounting resources. To try to influence better state and industry consumer protection standards, our public-facing position provides us with strong insights that we use in cooperation with our advocacy team. Next slide. Excuse me. If you're interested, we can provide links for resources such as our own consumer protection webpage, as Roger mentioned earlier, SIA's consumer protection resources, some links that are not listed here, like the memo reference to earlier, how to spot a solar scam. And we can also help with how to read your contract. And we have those blogs up and ready on our website. Next page, slide. Okay, well, thank you all so much for joining us. This ends our Solar Help Desk presentation for consumer protection. Our contact information will be listed in the chat. I saw someone ask for that. And next slide. This will lead us to our Q&A. I'm sure you all are been waiting for this moment. So let's fire away at the chat, Annie. What do we have?
Plenty. So I'll start off and then I don't think we'll have time to let people go off mute, but we never know. So let's start. So I do actually want to ask one question that came in most recently, which was, I hope that some of the listeners here have some success stories to encourage everyone to go solar. And believe it or not, we have plenty of success stories. So I definitely, if you all want to speak to that as well, this is just the percentage that doesn't go well. But if anybody wants to speak to all those that we've helped go solar.
Yeah, I can jump in and say that I'm sure this is true for every industry, but the people who contact the help desk overwhelmingly are the people who've had the bad experiences. But like, you know, sometimes I hear about roof leaks. I've been answering questions right now in the Q&A section for a while, but from any co-op that we've ever run, I've never heard of a roof leak before. We've run over 400 solar co-ops, you know, over 11,000 solar installations that we've worked with, and working with, you know, reputable companies who are like really good installers. I've never heard of a single roof leak. And really like people that have you know, used our solar co-op process, which is not always available everywhere. But in general, we've been able to do these proposal reviews that Johnny and our team have been doing, and you know, really, you know, have folks call references, review people's proposals, do background on the installers, make sure that people are getting a good deal so they're not taking a loan out for too much money. Yeah, almost everyone has a really good experience. Unfortunately, like any industry, there are a lot of bad actors. So we do that too.
Definitely. There's lots and lots of success stories for sure. And I know you're typing an answer to this question, Roger, but I'd love to ask it out loud. If there's an insurance product that will guarantee solar contractors' obligations under a solar lease.
Yeah, so most installers historically, this is something that we talk about on the help desk all the time. Most installers have a warranty that covers their work. That would cover your roof not leaking, that would cover their wiring being correct and the panels functioning. And then in addition to that, there's always a warranty from the inverter company and from the solar panel company. What we've been seeing is this year, because of high interest rates and because of a lot of uncertainty in the market, there have been a lot of installers going out of business. And in that case, when someone goes out of business, like Gina pointed out, that's one of the most common questions that we get. The good thing is if your installer goes out of business, your warranties on your inverter and on your panels still exist. The problem is that your guarantee from your solar company does not exist. So because of that, there's a very popular product out there called Solar Insure. And that product a lot of installers offer, and they'll say, hey, for an extra, you know, relatively nominal fee, we can add this in, and it's a 30-year warranty where even if we go out of business, you can call Solar Insure and they'll get another installer to come and fix the problem. I know Solar Insure also launched a product that people whose installers are out of business can use called Solar Detect. I know some of these products aren't available in places, especially places like Florida, where there are many hurricanes. So you definitely need to check that out. Also, Sarah has spearheaded a project at the help desk, which is great. And we have a long list of installers who do operations and maintenance work. So even if your installer goes out of business and let's say Solar Insure is not available in your area or something like that, you can contact us and your warranties on your equipment are still good. So you'll still get, a free replacement inverter or a panel or whatever. But if you're hiring an installer privately, you'll usually need to pay for labor to fix the problem with your system. Also, I've been talking a lot, so I can turn it over to Johnny or Sarah or other people to.
We'll get another question that so Nancy's asking about the percentage of folks who rent their solar system versus own, and what's sort of your experience you all with interacting with people through the help desk. Sorry, Roger.
Back to me. Most folks that contact us own their systems generally. But renting, it really just depends on interest rates, which is funny. It's not a solar thing. It's just about interest rates. So I would say leases and renting a solar system are much more popular when interest rates are high, just because it's harder to take out a loan. So when the solar industry was young, 20, 30 years ago, it was almost all leases. And then once panels got more affordable, people started buying their systems. And now the interest rates have really, gone up in the past, 2, 3 years, et cetera. There's been a renewed interest. So we're seeing a lot of people leasing systems, especially in California. I'm seeing a lot of leases in California just because they switched their net metering. So in order to make solar make money in California, people need a battery. So a lot of people really like to lease because batteries in general have a 10-year warranty, but with your lease, they'll guarantee that your battery will work for 25 years, which means that they'll either service it or give you a new battery. So I'm seeing lots of those right now.
Awesome. Thank you. Any questions that Gina, Sarah, Johnny, or Memo have seen that you want to answer?
I was just trying to type in some answers in the chat, so forgive me if I'm a little bit slowed on that end. But if you see anything that sticks out, I don't want Roger to have to answer everything, please. We've got plenty of time, or I think we have time, so that we can answer a few more. Yeah.
Definitely. No question. Let's see. So Judith is asking the difference between getting a battery backup for her solar panels and getting a Generac system. She's had a couple of power outages this spring because of bad weather and is looking for advice on which one might be better.
That's a good question, Judith. So we would want you to contact our help desk directly so that we can just take a look at like your energy goals and go through what it is that you're trying to like power your loads and what size you would need, what type of system or panels that you have existing. Since we're vendor neutral, we can't necessarily say one battery is better than the other, but we can steer you in that direction so that you can make a more educated choice. I hope that helps, Judith. We can give you more information when you contact us.
For sure. And then someone is also asking about PPA, so power purchase agreements versus leases.
Ooh, that's a Roger question.
Sorry.
That's fine. So power purchase agreements and leases, we usually lump them together because they're really similar. But the main difference is that a lease is a flat fee. So let's say you're renting your solar system, you have a 25-year lease, and your lease says, hey, you're going to pay $100 a month for your solar lease rather than owning your system outright. This is very common. Everywhere in America, you can have a solar lease, which is one of the reasons that they are common. A lot of states do not let you have a power purchase agreement. A power purchase agreement, instead of a set fee like $200 a month or $100 a month, a power purchase agreement is you would agree to pay your solar company a rate per kilowatt hour. So let's say your electric company rate is 20 cents per kilowatt hour. You might agree to pay them 17 cents per kilowatt hour so that you're saving, 3 cents per kilowatt hour by having solar. And then the most important thing to look at with leases and power purchase agreements, in my experience, is usually the escalator rate. So the escalator rate means the rate at which it goes up annually. So if your escalator rate is 0, that's great, because this year you're saving 3 cents per kilowatt hour. But when the electric company raises their rates next year, you might save 4 cents, and the next year it may be 5 cents, something like that. So it's really important to look at that escalator rate, but just to make sure that you're going to be saving more money in the future and not less money. I live in Philadelphia. Our electric rates just went up 10% on June 1st. So for example, I am working with a local nonprofit on going solar, and because the rate of electricity went up 10%, their PPA, they were going to be doing a power purchase agreement, and they were going to be saving half a cent per kilowatt hour, which is they're giant, so that would be really helpful. But now with this electric rate increase, they're actually saving 1.4 cents per kilowatt hour. And then I don't know if their board is actually going to ever agree to actually sign this power purchase agreement. But if they do, just that rate increase, it's a 2% escalator, and the standard rate in Pennsylvania is electric rates go up about 4% annually. And because of that, they were slated to save $160,000 over 25 years, and now their savings just went up to $254,000 just because of the electric rate going up. So escalators and electric rates are really, really important to look at in leases and power purchase agreements.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. Annie, we do have one question that I wanted to kind of give some attention to from Harry. I'm not sure if they're still online here. Harry Hergort, I'm pronouncing your last name, forgive me, but their installation company went out of business. They had to hire an attorney. I just wanted to tell Harry, like, I hear you, I see you. You need to contact us. I know that we have some programs that Sarah talked about in terms of our inspection program. We're not sure exactly. We don't want to void out any warranties. So we want to make sure that we're helping you and not hurting you. And that I did see that you stated you hired the attorney. We are trying to build up some legal resources that might be able to help you, some pro bono volunteers, in terms of you seeking damages for your roof. So I just wanted to make sure that I addressed Harry directly, because they had such a long, sad story. So we're here for you, Harry. Yeah.
Thank you, Johnny. So this one comes from Maggie. When a solar contract states that among their responsibilities is to quote unquote monitor your system, and they don't, what does this really entail? She's saying that hers went unchecked for several months, and eventually the system had to be replaced. So, sort of what's the recourse there? So I'm sure you all have dealt with this situation before.
Yes, we have. Maggie, sorry if I got your name mixed up. Yeah, okay, so Maggie, yeah. So your production app should be given to you at the time of your installation from your inverter company. And yes, it should be monitoring your monthly production and consumption. And if that's not working, you should be able to reach out to your manufacturing company. I am so sorry that you were missing maybe a couple of months of production, it sounds like. And you might be able to, or we might be able to help you, depending on who the installer is, to bargain, or you can receive some sort of refund. And that's not a promise at all. But that's what we do on our end. Roger, did you have anything else we can add? I mean, understanding the production app, because it's a little bit technical. It is the brains of your panels. So it's very important that you have that.
Yeah, it's definitely important. We definitely see a lot of installers not giving folks that info. Unfortunately, that's a very common thing that installers,
Yeah.
I've seen people say verbally, and they don't put in your contract. They say, "Oh yeah, we'll monitor your system for you." And what they mean by that is that if you can set up your app, and you can set up your own alerts to monitor the system, because in my experience, they usually are not actually monitoring your system. If you give them a call, then they can say like, "Oh yeah, I see this." But I
Right.
think a lot of companies, we've definitely seen churn over the years, where especially a lot of the big national installers, they'll have a sales rep, and the sales rep will make a lot of sales and get a commission and then disappear. And then, the things that they said aren't necessarily, weren't necessarily correct. And then the installer will say, well, they don't work here anymore. And, that wasn't in writing. I was going to answer this. Andrew wrote about Chinese inverters with a kill switch. And is there any way that we can protect the grid from like a cyber attack? And believe it or not, this is a question that we are hearing all the time now. It's one of the most common questions we get. And my boss has a background in IT and cybersecurity, and actually, put together a resource for us on this. And it's really interesting. On one hand, like your average equipment that you are buying does not have a kill switch in it, and the installer and the supplier and everything is looking for that. So there's not like a physical thing that they're putting in there. But all of our devices are susceptible to cyber attacks. It definitely could happen where, someone is trying to get every inverter, obviously with varied levels of success. But I guess this is the thing that, to me seems unsettling, but also to cybersecurity people seems really normal, which our team is not. That like they're just building redundancies, and every inverter company and every electric grid operator and your electric utility, and they're spending tons of money and having experts making sure that all their data centers are secure and all their electric infrastructure is secure, both in terms of like a physical attack, like a bomb or something happening, or in terms of a cyber attack. And also because of that, so like the inverters on your house are really small and it's just affecting your house. So it would need to be, something that's attacking everyone's house all at the same time. But most utilities, there are laws that they're not allowed to buy internet connected devices from a variety of countries. So I know that's a thing. It's like, maybe the inverter in your house, is from a company that's, based in Korea or something, but the inverter that your electric utility is using that's doing their power plant would need to be made in America, and it would need to be, made by a Department of Defense contractor who has been approved to do that kind of thing. So basically, anything can happen, but people are staying really vigilant about that. So I don't think it's gonna be super common. Yeah, it's settling or unsettling. But the whole grid is connected, and basically any device that's connected to a computer or the internet could be hacked by someone. Back to you, Annie.
Thanks, Roger. So we definitely have a bunch of questions in the chat just about suppliers and vendors, whether they're domestic or looking for an installer. What's your all's best recommendation for finding something on your own? Where would you point people looking for resources?
Yeah, so we would point them to us because we can provide them steps on how to go solar, how to shop for an installer. We may already have vetted an installer from one of our co-ops or programs in those 13 states. So we could refer someone that might not be in that same region, or the installer might cover their area. So the other thing is that we are not going to, since we're vendor neutral, we're not going to compare one installer against the other. We're going to give you the facts. We will take a look at your roof and do a roof review, and then estimate how many panels you need depending on your energy goals. And we ask, like Memo had mentioned earlier, that you shop around for installers, get at least 3 bids. Sometimes we've even had consumers come to us for 7 bids or 5 bids. So we don't mind. The more information we have, the better we can inform you. And there's tons and tons of information out there. I know it can be overwhelming, but if you could contact the help desk, we'll be able to help you sort through all of it. And one of the things that happens that when someone starts searching for solar or wants to go solar, then they're going to start to get inundated with a lot of solar ads. So we want to make sure that you're careful about watching out for solar scams. Any information that we give you from Solar United Neighbors Solar Help Desk is validated. So we want to make sure that we're giving you honest and up-to-date information.
Thanks, Johnny. And then we have a few questions about the tax credits and anything that might be changing. Does somebody want to tackle what's going on federally with the solar investment tax credit?
No, we don't want to tackle that.
I'm also happy to as well, but I would love for one of you two if you want to.
Please,
Yeah.
Annie.
Yeah.
Roger.
No, I was
Yeah.
going to say, Annie, go for it. You know just as much as I do.
Sure. So we've got a couple of questions on Solar for All being impacted by the tax bill. The Solar for All program was on freeze at the beginning of the year for a significant period of time, and then those funds have been released. For the most part, we know through every state that received them. So there's definitely still some ambiguity around timing and when things will move forward, and a lot of things going on. But right now, Solar for All funding is through, and it's not a part of the budget bill situation that's happening right now. It's not specifically targeted throughout that. However, a lot of the follow-on impacts, if the bill passes as it stands, will affect the Solar for All program because it's going to affect the solar industry. So, the removal of the tax credit is a lower infusion of dollars into the solar industry. The effects on installers is going to impact the number of installers who are there to service Solar for All programs. And it really hurts sort of that middle class, the people who do qualify for a tax credit, who are then not able to go solar. So there's a lot of follow along impacts to the bill, even if Solar for All isn't specifically named in the current budget bill. The other question was about whether there's any protections for anyone who starts the process of going solar, but their installation hasn't been placed in service by the time the changes from the bill go into effect. And we're not lawyers, but at this point, the way the bill is written right now, you would have 6 months from the day the bill is passed in order to get your solar system in service, in order to get that tax credit. So again, we're not lawyers and we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know actually if this version of the bill is what's going to pass. But right now that's as it stands. So there's really nothing there. Your system would have to be placed in service 6 months after the bill passes in order to be eligible for the tax credit. And then the last thing before I hand it over back to you all, someone asked about how the budget bill currently affects the 48E credit, which I have something open here, which is this is something that is, again, it's technologies will have to begin construction 60 days after the bill is enacted, and be placed in service in 2026. So as it's currently written, things have to happen within 60 days for 48E as well. 60 days of the bill being passed and enacted, and then placed in service within 2026. So all that being said, the landscape is changing consistently, and we are doing our best to fight for the clean energy investments to be expanded or reinstated to what they were before. And so I can also drop in the chat if you would like to take action. We are doing phone calls, we're doing emails, etc. So if you want to show your support for solar, whether you've gone solar or you want to go solar and want to take advantage of those tax credits, I'll drop the link into our page where you can get connected to those actions. So that was a lot of talking from me. So
Thank you, Annie.
Yep, for sure.
Thank you for that explanation. The tax credit question is a very popular one. I see Roger's hand up, so I'll let him go.
Okay. I saw a couple questions about solar shingles versus solar panels. So I was just going to talk about that for a second. Solar panels are what we've been talking about this whole time. They are common. They're also known as solar modules. Solar shingles, there are Tesla ones, there are GAF ones. Basically, it's building integrated photovoltaics. So they look like shingles on your roof, but they actually have solar panels in them. Solar shingles are very cool. They look very cool. They are not very common right now. One reason is that they're much more expensive than solar panels. Another reason is that I'm sure the technology will improve over time, but right now they're much less efficient than solar panels. One thing is, like, right now it is 100 degrees outside where I am. So my roof, we can assume my roof in full sun is baking and is, much hotter than that. But a solar panel is usually, even if it doesn't have a lot of mounting, it's usually 2 or 3 inches off your roof on top of a rack. So air can get underneath the panel and cool it off a little bit. and solar shingles are part of your roof. They are touching your roof. No air can get underneath them. So solar panels actually work better. They need sun, but actually the cooler the temperature, the more efficiently they work. That's why like Colorado is a great place for solar because there's a lot of sun, but also cooler temperatures. So solar shingles, as of right now, are always less efficient. That may change over time with new technologies than solar panels, mostly because of the airflow. So they're very cool. A lot of installers install both. Definitely ask them for a quote for both. There's no like wrong answer, but they're definitely not as common as they used to be. Or they're not as common as solar panels are. Sorry.
Thank you for that, Roger. I had another question. I just wanted to jump in at you directly. Someone just said an off-the-wall question about researching if EVs can be used as battery backups now for solar panels. Now, I have heard this before, someone doing a DIY project, and they have used it. So I was going to answer yes, but I wanted to just make sure that that was okay with our Roger is our tier 2 escalation support if no one's gotten that yet. But yeah. So is that correct in me saying yes, that you can use your EV
Yeah.
for, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Batteries are really expensive. So most folks in most places are still not getting batteries. I mean, definitely in places with a lot of hurricanes or utility outages, batteries are more common, but the majority of solar customers are still not getting batteries. So having your EV serve as your home battery is always a great option. A lot of EVs you would need to hire an electrician and make it pretty complicated in terms of getting them to install a custom system right now. Also, some EVs it voids. I know like Tesla's the battery warranty is voided because they don't want people to do that. But Tesla also, is a manufacturer of home batteries, so obviously they have a vested interest in having people not do that with their car. But for example, like the Ford F-150 comes and there's a kit that your electrician can use to install your Ford F-150 truck as a backup. You can definitely Google it. Also, if you email me, I'm happy to send you some links. But there are, I would say, about 3 to 5 models of EVs that right now are marketed, and you can get equipment that comes with them. For a surcharge, of course, to plug them in and make that your home battery, which is amazing technology. Most EVs don't have that now, but I anticipate that they will in the near future.
Thank you so much for that, Roger. And just as a disclaimer, we do not endorse Ford 150 truck or Tesla. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions, Annie?
I love this Solar 101 question, asking about the difference between solar panels and photovoltaic cells. I love the spirit of a no dumb questions question. So just the basic, what is a solar panel versus a PV cell? Okay.
So what is a solar panel? Okay, a solar panel is a monocrystalline wafer that can receive sunlight and turn that into energy. The difference between a panel and a module and a panel is that several modules make up a solar panel. Several panels make up a solar array. Now, what was the question again, Annie? I'm sorry.
No, I
got
think that got
lost.
to it. Yep. No,
Okay.
that's great. I'm testing your knowledge before your test on Wednesday.
Right, right.
That's awesome. Let's see. And Andrew, I know you've had your hand up. I don't think we'll be able to let you unmute today, but if you have another question that you want to ask in the Q&A or in the chat, feel free to do so. Let's see. Oh, Roger.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, of course, obviously there are a ton of questions here. Please reach out to the help desk. We would love to answer them. We don't obviously have time to answer everyone's questions. Also, we do events. We do a coffee chat with the Go Solar team, which is a little bit more informal, and people can talk more. So definitely encourage you to come to those, because honestly, a lot of you have more answers to these questions than we do, and we really appreciate that. And a ton of you have a ton of knowledge.
Yeah, we definitely learn from our consumers, sometimes even about what laws are out or net metering. And so we definitely depend. It's a two-way exchange of information. So we depend on you so that we can help you, and the same, you can help us.
That is for sure. we love we love nerding out about solar. That's for sure. And you all have some awesome questions. All right. I think unless anybody's seeing anything that that they want to answer live, let's see. Sure. Someone just asked about renewable energy credits. Would somebody want to give a broad overview of what SRECs are? Mm.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
So that's all right. Solar renewable energy credits. Your solar systems are sized in kilowatts. They produce electricity in kilowatt hours. For an SREC or a REC is a credit for every 1,000 kilowatt hours, every megawatt hour of electricity that your system creates. So everyone produces RECs, but there's not a market to make money off them in most states. But a lot of states, like Virginia, has a market, and Maryland, Washington D.C. is the best market in the country. But New Jersey and Pennsylvania and a lot of other states have markets as well. And we definitely have more info about SRECs on our website. But yeah, it really just depends on the price. For example, I live in Pennsylvania. So, if you have a 5 kilowatt solar system, it may produce 6 or 7 RECs a year, and the pricing here is about $30. So let's say it's always nice to have an extra $180, but it's not a gigantic sum of money. In Washington, D.C., the price is $400 for an SREC. So 400, times 6, we're talking about $2,400 a year for a pretty small home system. So it is a great benefit in a lot of areas. Also, renewable energy credits are created by law by a state legislature or by, in case of Washington, D.C., a city council. They're not related to net metering. They're not related to how much money you're saving on your electric bill. So it's just a bonus that, hey, in addition to saving money on your electric bill, you can also get this money as well.
Thank you for that explanation, Roger. I think you said in Pennsylvania, I forgot what the rate was. You just said it.
30.
30. Okay. Yeah. We don't even have SRECs in North Carolina. I think it's voluntary. I'm going to do some more back research on that, but I did see that someone just joined our webinar and had a question about if this is a good time. Marina, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. Is this a good time to get solar installed? And if you're asking that in terms of receiving the tax credit, you did miss that portion of our presentation, but we're happy to give you some information to prepare you if you're wanting to install in this year for tax year 2026, if I have that correct.
Thank you, Johnny. So with only a couple of minutes left, let's see. We may have time to answer this one. So Gary was asking about batteries in northern climates, and the fact that in the winter and low light conditions, it doesn't allow the batteries to charge, which is not enough to charge your batteries too. So which is causing battery degradation. So yeah, and somebody +1 on that one. So if we can answer that one as our last question, that would be great.
Yeah, anytime you're working with an installer, they're going to do the calculations for your home, and that's really the most important thing. Is just sizing the system properly, so that doesn't happen. For example, a lot of folks in really far north, like in Alaska, will often oversize their system for that reason. Also, people have various tilting systems, especially the farther north you go. The more, especially getting towards the winter solstice, you want a system that can basically end up being, at a 90-degree angle versus, standard solar in the northern hemisphere, which is usually like a 20-degree angle. Or, the angle will depend on where you live. So like everything, really, I mean, we're always here to help. We're here to answer questions. But an actual certified solar installer who knows what they're doing, they'll look at your home, they'll look at your energy bill, they'll look at your battery, and then also work on making sure that the system is sized correctly so that your battery can be can be full. And yeah, that's obviously something that's important to talk to them about when they size your system.
Well, with that, we have no more time. Please, if you need support, if you have more questions, definitely reach out to this awesome team at helpdesk.solarunitedneighbors.org. You can also find their contact info on our website, which is solarunitedneighbors.org. And one of these lovely people will be getting back to you with an answer. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon, and thank you, Roger, Sarah, Johnny, Gina, and Memo, for providing all this incredible information. We really appreciate you all spending an hour with us this afternoon, and have a wonderful rest of your day.